Alright, so just a reminder that as we're going through this, you need to be writing down everything I do. The one exception to that is if I'm highlighting, so I'll highlight classwork. If I highlight, you don't need to highlight. That's just for me to draw your attention there. But if I underline, you should be underlining as well. And if I write words, you should be writing words as well. So what we're going to work on today is what are we called usage errors. Fill this in with me. Students will be able to recognize usage errors occurring within context and fix them. It doesn't say that, but we're going to be able to fix them by the end. So next question, underline that, is what exactly are usage errors? So usage errors are mistakes that writers make frequently or a lot. I'm going to circle a lot and draw an arrow from frequently just to let me know that frequently and a lot mean the same thing. And so one of the reasons that we're focusing today on usage errors is because in writing there's lots of different little tricks and words that can trip us up, make us make these mistakes. And we want to be able to be the best writers we can and fix those before they even happen. So we're going to start looking at just a couple today. We're right down here. Underline double negatives, that's one we're going to look at. And then trouble words, that's the other we're going to look at. More specifically with trouble words, and draw this just as I'm drawing it, we're going to look at homophones. Write that. So just a quick review before we go down. Today we're working on usage errors up here. They're mistakes that authors make, that writers make, and we're going to be able to fix them by the end of class today. So, double negatives. That's the first one we're going to look at. Before you go, however, I want you to take a second and read this sentence to yourself. Good. Hopefully by now you've read it, and you've read, I cannot not wait until we finish the Odyssey. Odyssey is the book we're reading, of course. And the double negative is right here. It's two words that have negative meanings. In this case, not and not. And those both are negative. So when something's negative, it actually means the opposite. When something's double negative, it actually means the opposite. So I cannot not means I can wait until we finish the Odyssey, which isn't really something someone would say. All right? So now we're actually going to go down here. I'm going to highlight just to draw your attention. You don't need to write. We're going to go double negatives. Now you're writing. Double negatives mean the opposite of one negative. So if I were to say, I don't like dogs, and then I said, I don't not like dogs, the don't would rule out the not, and so what I'm really saying is, I do like dogs. Again, right here, I'm going to just put a star for you to answer this question. What is this sentence really saying? I cannot wait until we finish the Odyssey. We just did that, so I'm going to give you about 15 seconds right now to finish up and answer that question. Reword it. Go ahead and pause your YouTube video and reword that in about 15 seconds. Alright, by now you've filled that in and you understand that I cannot not wait until we finish the Odyssey actually means I can wait until we finish the Odyssey because the double negatives rule each other out. We're going to move down here to homophones. You might have heard some of these before. You might have heard them called homophones, but you've definitely seen the actual words in your everyday reading and your everyday writing, and they're confusing for many of us, myself included. With me, you're going to fill in this definition. Homophones are words that sound like another word, but have different spellings and meanings. So words that sound alike, but have different spellings and meanings. Go ahead and fill that in. All right, I skipped ahead a little bit. You'll notice that the definition is actually filled in down here. While you fill that in, I'll read it one more time and then you can pause it. Homophones are words that sound alike but have different spellings and meanings. So pause the video right now until you can get that full definition down. And as soon as you have it all written, you'll come back and hit play. All right, so we're back. You've filled in the definition. We're going to come down here. You're going to do a little bit of work on your own. Again, when you go to work on your own, pause the video. So give yourself enough time to complete these 3 down here. I'm highlighting, so you don't need to. I just want to draw you. Write another word that is pronounced the same as the 3 below. These are homophones. So the first one you're going to work with is to. The next one is there. And the final one is effect. Pause the video now and fill those 3 in. We'll come back in 1 second with some answers. All right, by now you've probably come up with some answers. You paused the video, you gave yourself some work time, and we have a couple down here. The first one that I could think of is the number 2, TWO. I'm going to put a slash because there's actually 2 answers available here. And then the other one I could think of is 2, with 2 O's. We have 2, 2, and 2. Notice they're all pronounced the same, but they all are used differently. The next one, again, there's going to be 2 here, so we'll draw a slash. First one I could think of is there. If you look over there, that's this usage. The next one is a contraction. It's they, apostrophe re. It's also pronounced there. And the final one we have is effect and effect. And these are spelled really similarly with the exception of one letter. Good. So we've finished our notes, and now we're going to go on to a little bit of practice. The way this is going to work is that Mr. White's going to fill in a couple. You're going to have some time to work, and then you'll restart the video to come check out the answers. So I'm going to pause it right now. We're going to flip to that. Give me 1 second. All right, so we're back. The way, again, this is going to work is that you're going to work with Mr. White on a couple, and then you're going to work on your own on the rest of them. So here we have the actual word. You'll notice that they're grouped by homophones. You can draw that now. And here in the middle, you're going to write the definition. You don't actually need to write a full definition, but just a couple words that help you remember how it's said. And finally over here, you're going to be using it in a sentence. Again, I didn't give you enough room to write a full sentence, so all I'm going to ask you to do is use just a phrase or a couple words. So I'm going to do the first one here with you, and then I'll do a few more with you. So, 2. We're going to write here that it has to do with going somewhere, going or giving. For example, this morning I went to school. So you can go to school. I'm going to go over the line a little bit. That's okay. Or you can use Monday, Tuesday. Good. So we have that first one. Pause the video now and fill in the next 2. So on your own, you're going to fill in this one and this one. I'm going to do this first one with you again, and then it's going to be on you to complete the rest of them. So, effect versus effect. That's the homophones we have here. Effect is what you do to someone. So you affect someone or something. So I'm going to write to someone slash something. I'm just going to write thing to save some space. So to someone or something. For example, the sunlight has a great effect on my eyes. Sunlight. My eyes. Sorry for the lack of room. The handwriting. Try and squeeze it in there, and if you need to go off the side, you can do off the side too. Now take a little bit of time, pause the video so you can work at your own pace, and fill in this one on your own. Effect. All right, I'm going to do one more with you all, and then I'm going to have you fill in the rest of this table on your own. So again, when you're working on your own, pause it. I'm not going to give you the full work time in the video, so it's on you to pause and play at your own rate. So the three I'm going to focus on here, I'm going to give you definitions, and then you're going to write your own sentences for. So the first one is there, the second one is also there, and the third one is there. There, the first one, EIR, has to do with ownership. For example, their jerseys, the other team's jerseys, their jerseys are cool. That has to do with ownership. The next one is there. This has to do with place. Earlier I said, look over there. I'm directing you to a place. It also has to do with being. So if I say there are 26 students in this class, that has to do with how many students are actually in this class, they're being in this class. It's an awkward way to phrase that, but that's because we would normally use there. There are rather than there be. There are. And the final one we have is a contraction. They are. I'm just going to write the full word, the full phrase there. They are very cool. And you would just contract that, take out the A, put the apostrophe, and that's called a contraction. So go ahead and pause now, and I want you to complete what I'm boxing in right now on your own. Give yourself as much work time as you need. You can pause the video. We'll be back in 1 second. All right, and we are back. You've completed all through here. Got some good examples down. And we're going to jump down. Again, I'm highlighting, so you don't need to write, but I'm just going to draw your attention. We're going to jump down to try these on your own. And you're going to read the phrase, so I'll read this one with you. Over break, I went to Mississippi to visit family. And so I want to think about which two do I really want to use. Right now, I'm going to ask that you complete all those problems on your own. So pause the video, complete it. When you click play, we're going to go over the answers as a group in the video. So again, you're working at your own pace. Don't worry about the person next to you, where they are in the video, or the person on the other side of you. You're just working at your own pace right now. Pause the video and complete these. All right, you're back. We're going to go over the first couple together and to check our answers. So over break, I went to, it's the first one, Mississippi to visit family. This 2 that I just crossed out is the number, and so that one doesn't make sense. And this 2 means to have too much of. I had too much turkey on Thanksgiving, but it doesn't have to do with going somewhere or giving. We can look back at our notes and see that TO, our correct answer here, has to do with going. And this over break, I went to Mississippi. That was me going to Mississippi. Number 2, there are 50 states in the United States of America. That's a true fact. We live in Tennessee. But let's figure out which homophone is the correct one to use in this instance. So there are 50 states. That has to do with how many states are in actual being and exist. So if we look back at our notes, hopefully we said this middle one. It's not they are 50 states, because that would repeat are. They are 50 states. We don't want that. And this one has to do with ownership. We're not talking about who owns the states or who owns what's in the states. We're talking about exactly the being of the states and how many exactly they are. The last 3 we're going to go over really quickly. For my project, I need to buy a large poster board. This one's a tricky one. We didn't quite go over this one explicitly in the notes, so let's see if we can use what we know about those two words in order to find one. So I'm going to highlight the wrong answer, cross that out right now. Bored, in that instance, talks about how you're feeling. So I'm feeling bored, I probably fall asleep. But that doesn't have to do with either a board of wood or a poster board. That answer is here. So one way to remember this is that board, O-A-R-D, is a noun, it's a thing. And write this with us so we can remember. And bored, B-O-R-E-D, is an adjective, it's a feeling, right? So it's describing how. So right now we're looking for a noun, a thing, rather than an adjective. Number 4. The teacher asked me if I knew what a homophone was. Hopefully by the end you will know, but right now we're going to try and figure out which one of these news is the correct one. Again, I'm going to start with the wrong answer, which is the first one. That one, as many of you probably know, has to do with being at the very start. So like new shoes, they just came out, they're brand new, that's this new. Whereas this new, the one that starts with K-O, K-N, K-N also starts the word know. And so it has to do with knowledge. So that's one way you can remember it. K-N, K-N, knowledge. So you have the knowledge now what a homophone is. And number 5. On my feet, I wear 2 shoes. Again, we know that this first one has to do with going or giving. And you're not going shoes, you're not giving shoes. You might give shoes, but not in this sentence. The second one has to do with too many. There aren't too many shoes on your feet. Hopefully not. And so we're really looking for the number, which is this last one. 2, the number 2, I'm wearing 2 shoes. Great, so we're done with our video lesson for today. This is just sort of a first try. Maybe it didn't go as well as you would have liked it. I definitely wasn't perfect, but we're going to work on it. And so right now what we're going to do is, depending on what center group you're in, you're going to go either to choice reading, maybe some Wordly Wise, Newsella, or you're going to do your guided practice on no red ink. All right? So remember that when you're using the internet, we got to be going only to the websites that we're told. In this instance, red ink, no red ink, Wordly Wise, or Newsella. Hopefully this was fun for you, a little different than what we're normally used to, and we can try it in the future. Thanks for paying attention, pausing, taking those notes, and really working at your own pace, because that's what helps make us better students.